My name is Erica, and this happened 2 summers ago when I moved into my first apartment alone. The building was in Columbus, Ohio. It was old, quiet, and had those narrow second-floor hallways where every sound echoed. I lived in Unit 14. Across from me was Unit 12. For the first few weeks, everything felt normal. I worked at a dental office during the day, came home in the evening, made dinner, watched something on TV, and went to bed. That's how I first noticed the man in Unit 12. He was tall, thin, maybe in his late 40s, with glasses and a tired-looking face. The first time we spoke, he held the front door open for me while I carried groceries inside. Then he smiled and said, "You're very easy to notice." I laughed awkwardly because I didn't know what else to do. After that, I started seeing him everywhere. Whenever I came home from work, he was somehow in the hallway. Sometimes he was checking the mail. Sometimes he was by the stairwell. Sometimes he opened his apartment door right when I reached mine. At first I told myself it was just coincidence, but then he started saying things he shouldn't have known. One evening, he asked me how my day at the dental office was. I had never told him where I worked. Another time, he asked if my sister had visited again, because he'd seen the blonde one come by on Saturday. He was right. My sister had been there that Saturday. That was when I stopped feeling comfortable. I started closing my curtains as soon as I got home. I stopped standing outside on my balcony. I made sure my door was locked every time I left. I even mentioned him to the building manager. She brushed it off and said he'd lived there for years and mostly kept to himself. Then one Thursday night I came home later than usual. The hallway was quiet, but as soon as I reached the second floor, I stopped. My apartment door was slightly open, just a crack. I knew I had locked it that morning. I stood there frozen, staring at it. Then I noticed something worse. Unit 12's door was open too, only a few inches. And through that narrow opening, I could see someone standing behind it, watching me. I backed away so fast I nearly fell down the stairs. I ran outside, got in my car, and called 911. The police arrived within minutes. They searched my apartment first. Nothing had been stolen, but my bedroom window was unlocked, and on the inside of my closet door, written in black marker, were the words, "I see you sleep." Police searched Unit 12 immediately. The man was inside his apartment, sitting there calmly, like nothing had happened. But in his kitchen drawer, they found a copy of my apartment key. And later, they found photos of me carrying groceries, photos of me leaving for work, photos of me sitting on my balcony. Most of them had been taken from inside the building. I moved out that same week, and even now the thing that scares me most isn't the message he left behind. It's the fact that if I had gotten home just a few minutes earlier, I might have walked in while he was still inside my apartment. My name is Paul, and when this happened, I was 27 years old and working for a cable company in North Carolina. A big part of my job was handling service calls in rural areas. Most of the time, that meant long drives, empty roads, and houses that sat so far apart you couldn't even see the neighbors. Usually, it was just boring. Then I got assigned one last stop at the end of the day. The address was on Wren Street. It was a little after 6 p.m. The service ticket said the customer had been having internet problems for over a week. The road leading there was narrow and lined with pine trees. The farther I drove, the more isolated it felt. At the very end of the road was a 2-story farmhouse behind an old rusted fence. No lights, no cars, no movement. I remember checking the house number twice because it looked abandoned. But it matched the ticket. So I grabbed my tool bag, walked up to the porch, and knocked on the front door. No answer. I knocked again, louder. Still nothing. Normally, that would have been the end of it. I would have marked it as a no-show and left. But then I heard something inside. A thump, then another. It sounded like something heavy being dragged across the floor upstairs. I stepped back from the door and called out, "Cable company!" No one answered. Then the front door slowly opened by itself. only a few inches. I stood there waiting for someone to come to the door. Nobody did. I should have left right then. But I didn't. I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The house smelled damp, like rotting wood and old water damage. There was furniture inside, but most of it was covered with white sheets. The whole place looked wrong, like it had been left in a hurry. Then I heard the dragging sound again. Upstairs, louder this time. I called out once more, but there was still no answer. I took 2 steps toward the staircase. That's when I saw it. A thin cord stretched across the bottom step at ankle height. It was tied to a cluster of empty cans and metal scraps, a homemade noise trap. My stomach dropped immediately. Someone had set it there on purpose, and that meant someone was inside, listening, waiting. I backed away without making a sound. The moment I did, the dragging noise upstairs stopped completely. Not faded, stopped. Like whoever had been moving was now standing perfectly still, listening to me. I turned and got out of that house as fast as I could. The second I stepped off the porch, I heard pounding footsteps explode from inside the house. Heavy, fast, coming straight for the stairs. I ran to my van, locked the doors, and called the sheriff. 2 deputies arrived about 20 minutes later. They searched the farmhouse and found a man hiding inside an upstairs bedroom closet. He had a rifle, duct tape, bottled water, and a sleeping bag. He wasn't the homeowner. The real owners had moved away, months earlier. The house was supposed to be vacant. Later, the deputies told me they believed the guy had somehow used the service system to lure workers to the property. I wasn't even the first technician sent there. I was just the first one stupid enough to walk inside. I still work service calls. But now I have one rule. If a house feels wrong, I leave. Because an empty house is one thing. But a house that seems to want you inside, that's something else entirely. My name is Vanessa, and when this happened, I was working the late shift at a hotel outside St. Louis. It was a business hotel near the interstate. Nothing fancy. Just 3 floors, a small lobby, a breakfast area, and a parking lot that wrapped around both sides of the building. I worked front desk 3 nights a week, usually from 4 p.m. until midnight. Most nights were quiet. By the time my shift ended, the lobby was almost empty. Guests were upstairs in their rooms. Housekeeping had gone home hours ago, and the only person left was usually the night auditor. I had a routine. I'd print the reports, count the drawer, lock the side entrance, grab my bag, and leave through the front doors. For months, nothing strange ever happened. Then one Wednesday night, just before leaving, I noticed a black sedan parked directly across from the entrance. It wasn't in a proper parking space. It was just sitting there, engine running, facing the hotel doors. Its headlights were off. I asked the night auditor if he knew whose car it was. He looked out, shrugged, and said, maybe someone was waiting to pick up a guest. That sounded reasonable, so I left. The next night the sedan was back. Same spot, same angle, same engine idling in the dark. This time I walked slower when I came out. I wanted to see if anyone was inside, but the windshield looked almost black under the parking lot lights. As soon as I reached my car, the sedan pulled away. That was the first moment I felt something was wrong. On Friday, I told my manager. She said if I felt uncomfortable, I should ask security to walk me out. The problem was, our security was one retired guy named Lou, and he only worked weekends. Saturday night, Lou walked me to my car. The sedan didn't appear, but on Sunday it came back. This time I stayed inside the lobby and watched through the glass. The black car sat there for several minutes. Then it rolled slowly through the parking lot and stopped by the side entrance. It stayed there for 10 more minutes before finally driving away. After that, I filed a police report. But without a plate number or a good description of the driver, there wasn't much they could do. For about a week, nothing happened. Then the following Thursday, I got off later than usual because of a billing issue with a guest. It was around 12:25 in the morning when I walked outside. The parking lot looked empty. No black sedan. For the first time in days, I actually felt relieved. I got into my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. Then bright headlights exploded in my rearview mirror. The sedan had been parked 2 rows over with the engine off, waiting. Before I could react, it accelerated and slammed into the back of my car. Not hard enough to total it, just enough to trap me in place. I screamed and hit the horn. Then the driver's door of the sedan flew open. A man jumped out wearing dark clothes and a knit cap. He ran straight toward my driver's side door. He had something in his hand. I didn't wait to find out what it was. I threw my car into drive, jumped the curb, and cut across the grass by the hotel sign. My tires screamed, and I nearly hit the light post, but I got free and sped straight for the road while laying on the horn. The man never reached me, and police found the abandoned sedan less than 2 miles away, behind a closed gas station. The car had been stolen. Inside, they found zip ties, gloves, a flashlight, and a printed list of hotel employee names taken from the company website. My name was circled. Police told me they believed he had been watching the hotel for days, maybe even weeks, learning the routine, learning when I left, and waiting for the right moment. I quit that job a month later. People ask if I regret leaving. I don't, because what still stays with me isn't the crash. It's the patience, the fact that he sat out there night after night, watching, waiting, until after midnight.